I have nothing to say about Montreal. I remember only the slow inevitability of the train pulling out of Central Station, the benevolent red glow of the Five Roses sign, the whiteness of the year's first snow sprinkling the trackside. Montreal was a dream from which I awoke as we sped past the Lake of Two Mountains, a patchwork of brown, nocturnal memories, a puddle of piss turning to steam on the sidewalk. We left the last suburbs behind us. The beverage cart came by and I ordered a drink. The porter flipped open the tab of the beer can with a disdainful thumb. I could tell he thought I was a train drunk. He didn't understand that this was not a thoughtless or routine drink, but a drink laden with ritual meaning, drunk to memorialize the end of a catastrophe, and not, therefore, subject to the usual conventions governing alcohol consumption. He placed the can on the tray in front of me, covered by a superfluous plastic cup, and I felt only pity. Outside the window, dead fields lay under a dusting of snow so fine the darkness of the furrowed earth was still visible. It was the last day of November. Laptops snapped open around me, and my fellow passengers pulled up their spreadsheets and quarterly reports. I had no work to do. I turned to the window and listened to Glenn Gould's recording of the Brahms Intermezzi on my phone. I was in a sentimental mood, and nothing has ever been more sentimental than Gould's fingers landing on the opening chords of that E-flat major intermezzo. There was nothing outside the window but farmers' fields and ditches and forests. Occasionally, a small town's asphalt roofs and dejected steeples passed by. The only indication we were leaving one unhappy province and entering another was the signposts. Towns named for polysyllabic saints gave way to towns named for colonial administrators. And yet I couldn't look away. Montreal had died for me so the rest of the world could come alive. I hadn't been to Toronto in years, but the city had, over the past months, taken on a dense significance in my mind. This was not because of Gould and his delicate E-flat major intermezzo. Gould's Toronto had disappeared decades ago, buried under condo towers and chain pharmacies. If anything, the more or less complete erasure of the city Gould had known made it possible to imagine moving there. Toronto attracted me in direct proportion to the claustrophobia and disgust I felt walking the streets of Montreal. The city, as it existed in my mind, was an elaborate perversion, a glassy necropolis where skinny men in Tiger of Sweden suits ran free beneath a sky refracted in colored glass, a vulgar and frictionless place, a city that could now never produce a Gould.